Hey everybody, the Real 03 here, bringing you another great home DIY maintenance video for the Honda CTX700D DCT, the candy red or alizarin red, whatever you want to call it. This is going to be a video on how to adjust your rear suspension. It's pretty self-explanatory honestly, but you know, some people just work better seeing it in person. And sorry for the lighting. My garage lighting sucks, so I'm trying to use a nice little flashlight. You're gonna need a hammer. You're gonna need a punch. If you have a brass punch, it'd probably be better to use. I don't have a brass punch, so I'm just going to use this regular punch, and I'm just going to take it easy, very light taps, and do it that way. You're going to need a 3/8 ratchet. I like to use the extension socket just so I can keep things away from my nice looking bike. You're going to need a 1/4 inch socket head and a 5mm hex bit and an 8mm hex bit. If I get those sizes wrong, I'll be sure to annotate. So yeah, I mean, you can use Allen keys, you know, whatever you have, but I just happen to have these hex bits available, so I'm going to go ahead and use those with the ratchet. Works really good for me, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next step. Alright, the first thing that you're going to want to do is you need to take off your seat. I'm sure everybody knows how to do this, but just in case you don't, I will show you. So, if you haven't taken your seat off before, I will show you how. Take your nice little Honda key here, and right here, I'm trying to look through the camera when I do this. Right here is a little key socket, little keyhole. And get my key in there. Okay. And you just turn it all the way to the right. Turn it clockwise. And when you turn it clockwise, what it's doing is it's unlatching. So you have to like turn the key and then pull on the seat. And generally, if you just, when you have the key turned, if you pull up back here, pull up, and then pull back towards you, it'll come right off. I'll try to set this up so I can show you how I pull it off. Alright, so we're going to turn the key clockwise. We're going to lift up, and we're going to kind of pull backwards. Once you have the seat pulled up, you can let go of the key, and the seat comes right off very easily, just like that. I like to, when I take my seat off, I have no desire to let my seat get messed up in any way possible. So I always just take my seat inside, and sorry for the door. I always take my seat inside and set it in the living room on the carpet. So when I'm working out here, you know, it's sitting in there, nothing's going to happen to it, it's not going to get damaged. If you do have the saddlebags, like I do, you're going to want to go ahead and take the saddlebag off that's on the right side of the bike, which would be the front brake and rear brake side of the bike. You're going to want to go ahead and take that saddlebag off. If not, it's just going to be in the way. Alright, so next step is you're going to go ahead and you're going to take your ratchet. Bam! Going to take your extension, if this is what you choose to use. If not, then you're going to take your hex key. I'm going to put my 1/4 inch drive, 1/4 inch socket on there, and then I'm going to take my 5mm hex bit. or 5mm Allen key, hex key, whatever you want to call it. And what we're going to do is we're going to take off this nut, and it's going to allow us to take this muffler cover off. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and do that. Go ahead and loosen that guy. Pop him off of there. Okay. Put that screw in a nice safe place where you know it's not going to get lost. And then what we're going to do is, the way this muffler cover comes off is it pushes this way towards the front wheel of the bike. And just be gentle. You know, you don't want to bend the tabs that are holding this thing on. You know, just be gentle. Take it off nice and easy. And if you've never taken this thing off before, these two little tabs right here have little rubber gaskets on them. And if you bend those tabs, it's going to be a headache to get this thing back on correctly. So, just like I said, just be gentle when you take it off. You don't need to pull outwards towards yourself or anything. You just need to slide it towards the front wheel nice and easily. Okay, now, if I were you, I would set this thing in a safe place where you know it's not going to fall and get scratched, because it will scratch. Alright, amendment to the tools that you need. You'll also need a little Phillips head screwdriver. Really, if you just have one of these loose bits, that'll work just fine. There's a little black screw pop rivet, is what I like to call it, but that's the hillbilly term, so you know, if you want technical terms, you don't want to be watching my channel, man, I'll tell you what. Anyways, what you do is you take this little screw bit, stick it in there, and you just turn it, bam, and it pops out. Once the head is loose, kind of jiggling around, you just merely pull it out, set it aside. Alright, once you take this screw pop rivet thing, I'm a jigger bobber out, you'll pop this first little catch behind here, and there's another little screw pop rivet. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, there's another little screw pop rivet right under here, basically right behind where my finger's at. You stick your finger under there, you'll feel it. Take your little screw bit, kind of look under there and say, oh yeah, there's that little bastard. And just do the same thing, just pop it and pull it right out. And don't drop it like I did. There you go. Okay, so you take those two pop rivets out, one up here in the front, one right up under here behind this little, behind your rear foot peg and this little black guy, this little cover. And then there should be another little rubber pop catch, and you can kind of heard it pop. Now, that's really all you need, because all you need to do is be able to drop this guy kind of out. Okay, so just let that dude sit there nice like that, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take your 8mm Allen key, hex bit, whatever you choose to use. Then you're going to take out this bolt right here and this bolt right here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that.
This is where I like to use the ratchet, so I'm kind of like away from my muffler and stuff. Yeah, I'm a freaking weakling. Loosen that guy a few turns. This dude, he-man. Okay, go ahead and take this guy out. Probably take him out with your hand now. Take it out. Alright, set that guy aside. Get the one up on top, get it out enough to where you can grab it. Oh, these bolts are so long, so long. That's not what she said. Anyways, then you can pop it out with your hand, set that guy aside. I'm pretty sure these bolts are the same size, same thread, same everything, so can't really get them mixed up.
Alright, so you took out those two bottom bolts, and you'll notice that this thing is like free moving now. Okay, but you also notice something else. When you're moving this guy, this plastic piece is moving too, and it won't just pull off of there. Okay, the reason for that is there's a little post with like a piece of rubber on it, and right now it's kind of pressure fit on the back of this piece of plastic. So it's really hard to see, and you really just kind of got to do it by feel. But you know that the connecting post is protruding from the back of this piece of plastic right here, and it's going through a hole on this steel piece. Okay, so if you just kind of do like a push-pull type of motion, it'll pop off. Just like that. Okay, now you can take this piece, kind of move your fairing a little bit, kind of wiggle it around just a tad, and it'll come out. Just be really careful. It's actually not that hard to get back in there, believe it or not. Jeez, I'm fucking this up. Okay, amendment. When this guy's in there, once it comes off, you kind of pull it down and kind of push it forward a little bit. It comes out easier. But again, set this next to wherever your muffler is so that it doesn't get scratched. Alright, now comes the fun part. See those little nuts right there and that threaded rod? See if I can get some better light underneath of there. Ah, there we go. And those threaded nuts are sitting on top of a spring. Okay, so what this is going to do for you is this is how you adjust your rear suspension. Okay, the top nut is just a locking nut, and the bottom nut actually adjusts that spring right there that my light is shining up and down on. Okay, so what you're going to do is, this is going to be really hard to film, but I'm going to do my best. Okay, I found it easiest if you take your punch and you put your punch through this hole right here. Okay, and as you have your punch through that hole, you can kind of look through this hole and see where the punch is lined up, and then you can just kind of tap the nut loose. You want to tap the top one loose. Let me zoom in there a bit. You want to tap the top one loose. Set my light down here. Oh, come on, light. Alright. This is where it might get a little shaky because I'm trying to do this up close. But right now I'm sticking my punch through the hole. Okay? And as you can see, you can get the top one, and then you can also get the bottom one. Okay, but you want the top one out of your way. Okay, so you need to line it up and then just kind of tap it, and tap it really easy. Okay, there's no reason to smack it really hard. Okay, you just tap it really easy, and you'll see that it'll come loose, and then just wind it all the way up to the top. My suggestion is don't wind it all the way off. It was kind of a little bit of a pain in the neck to get it threaded back on. But if you do wind it all the way off, don't worry, you can get it back on. It's not super hard, but it's just kind of a pain. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and show what it looks like from the outside to do this. Like I said, just get the nut kind of on one of the little, I don't know what you want to call them, the little, knobs that you can put your punch in between. and just kind of tap it really easily. Now, one thing that you might need to do is you know, you'll have it through this hole, and it might get over so far that maybe you can't bite so well onto the next one to keep it going. So maybe you'll need to come through the frame side over here. But just be very aware, okay, that you're not pinching any wires. Like you have a little your little ABS line, and your brake line is kind of right there too. So just be aware of where they are, and don't pinch them, don't hit them with your hammer, don't screw anything like that up, because that could be disastrous. Okay, so I'll just kind of show you a few taps here of me tapping this thing loose. Right now I'm just working on the top nut, just working on unlocking it. Like anytime you readjust your punch, just make sure you know where that ABS line is, okay? Because it's kind of hard to like get it like totally out of the way. Okay, so just be aware of where it's at, take your time, be patient. Okay, you really do need to use patience when you're working with these big nuts, because they're on there pretty tight, and they're so big that it might seem like you're tapping it forever, and you're like, Jesus, is this thing ever gonna loosen up? Yes, it will. Just be patient. Okay, just be patient. Take your time. Be patient. Don't be a jerk and rap on this thing so freaking hard that you break something. You don't want to do that. Okay, mine just loosened up. Okay, now I can literally move it with the punch and not even the hammer. Okay, so I'll show you a close-up. Okay, so now, as you can see, you know, I can move this top nut with the very easily. Okay, but the reason you want to be patient and be careful is because you really don't want to mar these up. That's why I said it. You know, if you have a brass tool, a brass punch, it would probably be better to use. So I'm just going to go ahead and wind mine up. Maybe do about there. Sorry about that. So yeah. Now we get the fun of tapping the bottom one. Now the bottom one's going to move, but it's always going to be tight. Okay, because the spring is pushing on it, therefore it's causing tension on it, and it's always going to be tight. Okay, so this is where you really need to use your patience. And I would suggest putting a little permanent marker mark on wherever yours is set at. It's probably really hard to see my permanent marker mark, but mine is like right there. And there's actually a mark on the thread itself. Because I actually adjusted mine down a little bit. Mine's actually almost all the way down right now, but what I want to do is move it up a little bit past where I originally had it and see if it feels any better with the suspension having not so much preload. Because what you're doing right now is if you tighten this nut down, like if you go this way with it, which would be clockwise, Okay, if you turn the nut clockwise, alright, you're going to add preload. So you're going to make the suspension a bit stiffer. Okay, so if you're like a really heavy person, then you definitely want to move this thing clockwise, probably all the way down. But I would also suggest moving it a little bit, tightening it back up, take it for a ride, see how it feels. Move it a little more, take it for a ride, see how it feels. But I have heard that like heavier type people on this bike, the bike is a lot better when you put it all the way down. Okay, so you add a lot of preload. Now me, I think I want to take some preload off because I only weigh like 130 pounds soaking wet, and the bike like seems to not even care when I sit on it. So I'm thinking I might try a little bit less preload than where it was originally from the manufacturer. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and move my nut just like I did the top one, and we'll go from there. Alright, let's see. Now, as you may or may not be able to make out, there's a little black mark on the thread of the shock itself. And there's a yellow mark, and I placed some permanent marker marks there just to know when I make one full revolution. Now, when I adjusted this before, I adjusted it down one full revolution. Okay, so I know now that those are lined up, I know I've made one full revolution and I'm back to where the factory had it set. Okay, now I'm going to continue to go up a little bit and see how it feels tomorrow when I ride it. So yeah, just thought I would share why it's important to mark the nut and the thread so you know exactly where your one revolution point is. Now, one revolution, this nut is so big in diameter, one revolution is a ton as far as travel on the shock thread itself. So just keep that in mind. You know, you might only want to do a quarter turn and then test it out, do a half turn, test it out. Alright, so I know it's really hard to make out because the nut is like almost covering that thread. Oh, there you go. There's some nut. Okay, the little black mark up on the top of the nut on the thread was my setting. And if you go one revolution, one full revolution clockwise, then I'll be at where the manufacturer had it set. If I go another revolution clockwise, that's where I previously adjusted it myself. So then what I did tonight is I went one revolution counterclockwise to bring myself back to where the manufacturer had it set, and then I went another revolution counterclockwise to give it one revolution less preload. Since there's no quantitative way to really say where you're at, that's the only best way to explain it. So I went one revolution more preload the previous time. Now I'm going one revolution less preload and see how it feels. Theoretically, this should be a softer, more plush ride for me, weighing so little. So now we're going to lock that nut back down. Now, to lock this nut back down, all you're going to do is you're going to screw it clockwise. You can do it with your finger for now. You're going to screw it all the way down until it gets tight. Because remember, what this nut's doing is it's locking your adjustment nut into place. Okay? It's locking it into place. Now, if I am correct on this, your yellow dots from your manufacturer that are on both nuts should about line up when you have it tight enough. So you can see down there on the bottom nut you have a little yellow dot. Well, you also have a yellow dot on the top. So what I am going to try to do is bring those two yellow dots to meet each other, and then theoretically it should be at the same torque that the manufacturer put it at. So, but that's just my hillbilly thinking. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so as you can see, the top nut is now tightened down on the bottom adjusting nut, and what do you know? It got so tight I could barely even move it right when the two yellow marks met. So I could have tapped it a few more and pushed it, but you know what? I don't want to torque this thing down so much that it bends something or breaks something. Trust me, it's tight enough. So there you have it. That is how you adjust your rear suspension on your Honda CTX700. From what I understand, it's the same way on the naked version, so it shouldn't really matter if you have the full fairing version or not. Yeah, okay, let's put her back together. Alright, so we're going to take our plate here, and like I said, you'll notice this piece right here is what needs to hook onto this rubber guy right up underneath of here. Okay, so if you stick your finger up under there, you'll kind of feel it, of where this guy needs to end up. So like I said, it's not really hard to get it back on there. Just take your time, be patient. You'll feel it when it locks. So let's try this. This is only the second time I put this thing back on, so let's see. There, watch out for the fairing. Be careful. Okay. Just gonna go about like that. Okay. So what I noticed is putting it on the second time, it was a bit easier than the first. If you just kind of put your fingers under here and pull back towards you as you kind of push on this plastic, you'll feel it go right back in. So then you know it's on there. And you just kind of situate it under her. If you look at your bolt holes, you'll know that you have it in the right place. Oh, there it goes. I just kind of lift it up on the fairing a little bit just to get it to go under there where it needs to go. So yeah, let's go ahead and I'm just gonna lightly put these bolts in down here. Alright, so we popped in the top part, right? Okay, now I'm gonna lightly put in these bolts, okay? And then I'm gonna make sure that up here in the fairing it's all 100% lined up correctly before I go ahead and really monkey this thing down on there. Hopefully that don't offend anybody, but to be honest, I don't really care. Alright, now I don't have that thing on there super tight, okay, and there's a reason for that. Because I want to make sure that the fairing and this guy are jiving. Okay. Which they are. Alright, one thing you want to make sure of is this little red fairing piece under here. Let me see if I can get my flashlight to stay there. What you want to do is you'll see that there's this little tab, okay, on the end of the fairing. You want to make sure that it's not down like that, okay, because that will pose a problem. You want to make sure that the tab goes up and above that black piece. Alright, now what we're going to do, now that we have the plate and the fairing kind of set correctly back, we're going to push in and connect the fairing back to this piece, okay? And once that's all lined up and you know this little tabby guy under here is right where he should be and the fairing lines up with the plastic that it connects to, okay, then you're going to go ahead and tighten these two bolts down. Just tighten them as tight as you can. I mean, if you got a torque wrench and you know exactly what the torque was, which I do recommend, I need to get a torque wrench. But essentially, okay, this is just a cover, so if it's tight, it's tight. I mean, okay. Pretty tight. Plus, you know, my wrist was calibrated not too long ago, so, you know, I know that I'm at like, right about, yep, there it is. Yep, there it is. Torque just right. Just right. Nice and solid. Okay. Fairing lines up good. So, we're going to go ahead and take our black plastic little poppy things and just kind of push it in there. Bam. You don't really need to screw it to tighten it, but generally I like to just turn it a little bit once I pop it back in there. But essentially, when you put it in like that, the head's out, okay, you push the body in, and then you just push the head down and it seats. Okay, so now you're going to want to do the one up underneath of here. Don't forget about that. Okay, and one key thing you want to do is just make sure that the fairing and the black plastic piece are actually together when you put this guy in, because that's the whole point of him. Okay, pop it back in there. Put my little screw dad on there a little bit. And it's in there. Okay, so now the fairing's reconnected. Well, I should quit calling this the fairing. It's actually the right rear cowl is what it's called. Okay, so that guy's back on. Everything lines up nice and streamlined, nice and good. Now comes the muffler cover. Alright, so we got our muffler cover here, right? Okay, these two little tabs need to go in here and here. Okay, and they just kind of slide, press fit in. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is just kind of gently set this guy on here and look at where your mounting hole is. Okay, so that should be about straight. And then just kind of lightly press back, lightly press back. You may have to do this a few times. You kind of got to do it by feel. Okay, because you really can't, see, I missed it. You really can't do it you can't really see it. Okay, so you just kind of got to do it by feel. You'll get it, just be patient. It just takes a second. But you know about where your screw hole's at, and you know that this muffler cover is in front of the mounting hole. So you know about when it's even. Just kind of feeler it out, feeler it out. You don't want to push too hard, dude, because you're gonna bend stuff if you do that. Okay. Might want to give it a tiny little rocking motion. I see I'm almost there. Kind of rock it and push it, rock it, push it. Just a little bit. You know, you don't want to be rocking it crazy because you will bend those things. Okay, but I'm about there. Alright, that's about it. Nice and tight. I know I'm in both holes. Okay, now take our screw and go ahead and pop it in here. Easy as that, man. Easy as that. See, you don't need to take this thing all the way to the freaking dealer and everything else. Do it your damn self, man. Do it your damn self. And I just realized that I took the lighting away. But I'm sure you can make it out good enough to see. Putting it back together is just reverse of taking it apart. So go ahead and tighten this guy down. Good thing my wrist is calibrated. Oh yeah. Now with this dude, you don't really want to torque this thing too tight. Okay, it's just a freaking muffler cover screw. Like, you don't need to torque it on there like He-Man, okay? So now we're going to put the seat back on. Everything seems good and tight. Alright, now we're going to do the last and final step, and we're going to put the seat on, okay? So what I usually do is just kind of set it down in here like this, okay? You're going to turn your key clockwise, okay? Kind of push it forward and down it goes, okay? Now it's on there good. I usually check the back, usually check the front to make sure it's securely on there, because if you rock the seat like left and right, you'll hear where it's latched at. So you know that it's on there good. Then take out your key. Nobody can steal your seat. And you're good, man. All is well. Put your saddlebag back on and go have a beer, smoke one, whatever, and pat yourself on the back because you just adjusted the suspension on your Honda CTX700. Baby, what a nice bike. Alright guys, hope you liked the video, hope it helped somebody. If you want to like or whatever, that's totally up to you, man. Comment, I'll comment back. I like to hear from people and talk to you guys. Alright, later.